Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Jigowatts. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly movie news show in which we talk about movies that are in development, casting announcements. We have a horror movie news section at the end. We traditionally had a trailer section, however, that is changing this week. Don't worry, you're not losing the trailer section, it's just going up as a separate show. Why, you ask? Because this week there was 17 trailers.
Yeah, it's so much that we thought, this deserves its own spotlight. And then we had last week where we only had three, and it didn't almost feel worth doing, right, last week?
I mean, 3 was fine when it was part of a show, but I think what will happen now is we'll have 1.21 Gigawatts trailer talk, which will be most weeks. But every so often, if there's a week like last week where there's only one or two, and, well, if there's a big trailer, I think it makes a difference. I think if last week we had, say, the Halloween trailer, right?
Yeah, one of half of these trailers,
right?
They're huge.
We would have made a point of doing it because it's a big trailer that people want to hear us talk about. But there wasn't any big trailers last week. So if it was a week like last week, we would just roll them over into this week. Which is a kind of a scary thought given there's 17 this week. But that would be okay because it's its own show. It's just its own thing where we talk about all the trailers.
Yeah.
But so that's going to be the thing going forward. If you're listening to the audio feed of the movie and TV news feed, where you get the movie and TV news on that, the trailer talk will still go in there. Because sometimes you get the movie news split up into two anyway because it's too long. This just makes it neater to split because it's actually just a separate thing. So you're not losing any content. It's just getting split into the two shows. It's the same thing as it was before. It's just neater divided because sometimes, very often, there'll be weeks where the trailers make up half the news show. And this just makes
Definitely
it a bit nearer.
this week.
Because sometimes, there'll be like 30 minutes of news and an hour of trailers, and this just kind of makes it neat. Because there's so often where this movie news can sometimes balloon to over 2 hours in size. This will keep them both tidy, separate episodes, and yeah, so that's the plan. So not much is changing, it's just going up as separate things. As to when the trailer talk video will go up, I'm not sure. We haven't decided that yet. This was kind of all decided in the last 5 minutes, but it'll sometime over the weekend.
Yes.
Possibly before this one even goes up. I might decide the trailers are more time sensitive. Yeah. Yes, so I might put that one up first. But that's what's happening. So you'll probably get an equal explanation at the start of the trailer one, just because that might go up first, and I have to explain it in that one.
Yeah, otherwise people are going to be like, what the hell's this?
Yeah, what the hell is this thing? So there you go. But this is going to be the news. This is what we're going to do. We'll start with box office, as we always do. We didn't make predictions last week because we were so late in... Well, no, we weren't late. No, that wasn't true. We weren't late. The news of Solo bombing so hard was just so in my face. We couldn't make predictions because I'd already seen the estimates for the weekend. That's why we didn't predict anything.
That's what it was.
Yeah, we weren't late last week.
Did those estimates hold up, though?
Pretty much. I think the estimate was something like 28.5 million last week. The final figure was 29.3 million, so it's...
Yeah, pretty close.
It's the same, yeah. So it doesn't alter the view of how bad that is.
No, it's slightly better than the prediction, but it's nothing.
65% drop. That was still number one, but 65% drop. That was worldwide. Solo has now made 276 million, which is is pretty bad. We're at a point now where it might not hit 400.
No, it might not.
We're actually in that sort of territory now. So hey, Solo's still... We talked about this so much last week, I don't want to do it again. Solo's not doing very well. The only other thing that I'll say that is noteworthy is that the international... Now, we don't often talk about the international chart, where it takes out the domestic and just has like what ranked internationally. But I do want to mention that for the weekend, Star Wars actually dropped. Deadpool 2 went back to number 1.
Ah, very interesting.
So, clearly across the board.
I assume by that, we haven't got into it just yet, but that means it's still retained number 1 in the US.
Solo's still number 1. I said that like a minute ago. Yeah.
I just brushed over that part, clearly.
Yes. So Solo number 1 with 29.3 million. Number 2 was Deadpool 2 with 23 million. That's its third weekend. That worldwide has now made 615 million at the time of recording. So Deadpool 2, roaring success.
Quite dandy, yeah.
R-rated movie as well. I'm glad that some R-rated movies are doing well.
Yeah, because not so long ago, R-rated movies were bombing. And they've never traditionally done amazingly, but they were doing poor than usual.
Well, no, see, the thing is, though, it's not so much that the R-rated movies were bombing, it's that the studios weren't willing to make anything anything remotely big budgeted R-rated because they were terrified that that was going to happen. They were terrified that the kids can't go see it, therefore it's not worth doing. But between Logan, between the two Deadpool movies and a couple of other things, they're proving that that's not the case, that so much of your audience are actually adults that it's okay, you're fine.
I agree. I think it was just things like, a few years ago we had Dread, which, bombed, and it was like, okay, maybe we shouldn't. Is the message that they took.
That is a terrible example to use for that.
No, I'm saying that's the message that the studios took from it, though.
From Dread specifically, you think they took that message from that?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Dread, they put out unlimited screens and didn't advertise. They think they took the message from that. Why would they take the message from that? They can look at that and say, no, that didn't do that well because they only put it on. I remember when I went to see Dread, there was one showing a day, its opening week. Really? Yes, that was how screened that was.
Wow. Oh, that's pretty low.
So that's why I think that's a terrible. I think that was I think that was just sent out to die. Basically, is what I'm saying.
No, fair enough.
I feel like they have been so terrified of R-rated movies. They don't think they can do well, and they don't think they can be the big tentpoles that make hundreds and hundreds of millions. But they're proving that they can be. And I like that because I want more R-rated content because, hey, I'm an adult and I want more. I like some stuff that isn't R-rated, obviously, but I want a nice mix. I want both the violent, I want the kid-friendly, I want all of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can do both.
So yeah, number 3 was Adrift with 11.6 million. Number 4 was Avengers Infinity War with 10.5 million. That's its 6th weekend for the record. Worldwide, that has now made 1,971 million. So we're inching towards that 2 billion. It got an extension and it's released in China, so they're going for it. We're going to get there.
Yeah, next week or two.
Yep, we're getting there. Number 5 was Book Club with 7 million. Number 6 was Upgrade with 4.6 million. Number 7 is Life of the Party with 3.5 million. Number 8 is Breaking In with 2.8 million. Number 9 is Action Point with 2.3 million. And number 10 is Overboard with 1.9. Action Point at number 9 with 2.3 is actually interesting, just in that it's kind of like, hey, Johnny Knoxville and the Jackass crew, they are not that bankable anymore.
They haven't been in a long time, though.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm glad, because I think they are thoroughly unfunny. So I'm good with that.
I happen to agree.
So that is good. It took us 30 minutes to get through the box office last week. We explained a new show and did it all under 7 minutes with the box office.
It's pretty straightforward this week, Lou, let's be honest.
I kept you in line. I didn't let you go spouting off.
I know. I said everything I need to last week. I got nothing to say. Unless you haven't got news of the rumours later on.
What rumours?
With Kathleen Kennedy.
No, I don't have rumours with Kathleen Kennedy. I did not see this.
Oh, well, I mean, I'll get out of the way here now then. There are.
This is still counting as box office time. For the record, if this inflates to 30 minutes, he's still doing this.
No, there have been rumours this past week that she will be stepping down from Lucasfilm in September. And or that she's already stepped down, but the replacement will come in September. And some people are saying this is a reaction to Solo.
It's too quick for that, I think.
It's way too, and also given her history of successes, a long line of successes, right? Even aside from the Star Wars movies, you got Indiana Jones, you got Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, E.T. are all in her credits. There's no way one bomb in Solo affects her career.
Which is almost why I think this is even worth talking about. This is just a stupid thing
I
just claim.
But even if the rumors are true, which they might be, then it's probably just a case of she's off to do something different, right?
Very possibly. I'd be surprised just in that I feel like when you're the head of Lucasfilm doing your Star Wars and they're still kind of setting up an Indiana Jones, I would have expected that to be at least a 10-year gig, just because it's a big, you're the head of one of the biggest franchises in the world. But maybe she's had her fill. She's seen it through to
she's set the ball rolling.
I guess leaving later this year means she's seen it through to the point where she's overseen the development of the entire trilogy, right? Because we'll be so far up into 9's development that she'll have been the instrumental one running that movie, and then the new person will be starting the next couple of trilogies, even though they've already been greenlit. But
yeah, but they'll be the one more hands-on in it.
Yeah, so I guess that's maybe the thing. I obviously get a lot of assholes online who are like, Kathleen Kennedy's ruining Star Wars.
Speaking of Star Wars assholes. Did you see what they did with what's her name who played Rose?
Kelly Marie Tran.
Yeah. So she had to, she deleted all her Instagram and everything because people wouldn't leave her alone, kept harassing her.
And she's not the first Star Wars actor who's had to do that, for the record.
No, Daisy Ridley did the same thing. It's notably the women who are having to do it as well.
Yes. The female actors, and also Jake Lloyd, who basically had his life ruined by Star Wars fans.
People be dicks.
People are dicks. I don't really have much to say. This is just common human decency. It's not an actor's fault if you didn't like their character.
Right. The same thing happened with the guy who played Jar Jar. It's not his fault.
Nah. No, it really
I hate
isn't.
The character, I hate the writing, hate the direction, but don't blame the actor doing his job.
And even if you, that's the thing. Just to sort of clarify the way you said that there, even if you hate the writing, you hate the directing, you don't attack the writers and the directors. They're still people doing their job.
Yeah, no, hate the work, sure, but don't attack them personally.
Nah.
But to swing this back around, we've got box office predictions to make, haven't we?
We do. I'm glad. Yeah, let's talk about Star Wars. I'm sick of it. Every week you somehow make us talk about two extra things about Star Wars.
I'm sorry. You just don't see the in-depth Star Wars rumors.
I'm just sick of Star Wars.
You choose not to.
I'm so sick of Star Wars.
I feel like, you know how on your browser you can get an extension that'll block certain things that, just that you won't see these words. I feel like you've got one that if it says Star Wars in it, you just don't see that.
Yeah. Star Wars and librarians. Do I see?
What you got against librarians?
It's a Parks and Rec joke. I'm just cracking jokes.
I mean, sure.
Remember they have a rival with the library?
I remember. Yeah,
it was a thing. I don't know. I was trying to think of something funny to add to Star Wars. Lord of the Rings is not funny because it's the other obvious thing that I don't like. But I wanted to hit you with something. I was trying to think of like an actor or something, just joke that I've got a hatred of someone, but I couldn't think anything that was funny. So.
Especially not after the conversation we just had. Which would
be be a weird joke to make after that conversation. Anyway, so box office predictions, we've got Ocean's 8 and Hereditary to predict. So we got the new blockbuster, lady reboot of the spy franchise, the heist franchise more specifically, and then you have the sort of the A24 artsy horror film. So this would be an interesting set of predictions to make actually. So,
but both getting pretty good reviews as well from what I'm seeing.
Yes.
So that might help. Some positive word of mouth might drive them up a little bit from whatever you were thinking before.
So, Ocean's 8. Let's do that first. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be 40, 45, right? I'll go 45.
I'm going to shoot a little bit higher. I'm going to go with 60.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like this can go one or two ways. It can just be like no one really cares about this. It doesn't matter that it's here, or it could be this is something different. It's representing another group of people that's flock to it because let's appreciate that it's doing this.
Oh no, that's fair. I'm made where it will happen.
Because this does not have the weird backlash that Ghostbusters had.
No one's. I think that to its detriment, no one's really talking about it at all.
I see people there's some people on Twitter who love it, but I think the people I'm seeing on Twitter who love it are just the sort of people who are just obsessed with some of the actors that are in it or whatever, and they just.
I think that'll be something that does benefit. It's got a very diverse, popular cast.
Yeah, you got Billy,
bring in a lot of different audiences.
Mindy Kaling's in there.
I think Rihanna's in it, right?
Yeah, Rihanna's in there.
That'll bring in a few people.
Yeah. I like the franchise, so I'm good, but everyone else can knock themselves out.
I like the first one. I'm looking forward to this one, and I'll probably see it at some point in the next month or so whenever I get time.
So, Hereditary.
Yeah. Again, this is obviously significantly lower than Oceans, but I don't know. 15.
Yeah, no, this is a tough one. This is the sort of thing where it could have that just for a horror movie have the breakout weekend where it's like everyone.
That's what I'm thinking. It's really heavily advertised. They're really I get trailers for this on YouTube constantly, and good reviews. So there's good word of mouth going into us.
On the one hand, this wouldn't shock me if it has a really good 30 million weekend. It wouldn't shock me if it did that. but I don't feel confident enough to actually assume that it will.
No, me either.
So I'm probably going to go a little bit low. I'm going to go 12.
Okay.
I'm going to go 12 million.
We're not, not miles apart though.
No, I think that's the reasonable estimate. But it wouldn't shock me. I can see it having legs if it's got good word of mouth. I can see it having.
I agree. Horror typically does have good legs when it's a good movie because they don't drop that much because they're not that high to begin with typically.
Yeah. So. Yeah, see Hereditary over Oceans, please. It looks better. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with that.
It looks better. So that is the box office. So we'll move on then to the actual news of the week. First up, so we start with comic book news when we get into this. Comic book movies specifically, obviously. Warner Brothers apparently have put in development a Joker standalone film, not to be confused with the Joaquin Phoenix out of continuity Joker standalone film. This is a Jared Leto-led Joker standalone film, spinning out, of course, of Suicide Squad.
Yeah. I mean, guess this is a thing.
Yep. I can't stand his Joker. I hope this burns.
I was defensive before the movie came out. Like, I wanted to give it a chance. I didn't hate it from... No, I don't inherently hate all of the look. I hate the one specific tattoo on the forehead. I think that was stupid as shit.
I hate the teeth, the grill in the teeth. I hate the tattoo. I just don't like Jared Leto that much, let's be honest.
This is the thing. I don't think I've ever gone, oh, I really like him, but I don't hate him either. There's no... again, I don't think he's that bad. I just think it's this part, right, specifically for here, this conversation is just like, what is it doing? I don't think it's him that's the problem. I think it's just the way the character is. The take that they've gone for it.
Little column A, little column B.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
I do, because I feel like the performance he gives is exactly the sort of thing I'd expect from Jared Leto. It doesn't feel like, oh, he's doing it going against type with this performance.
No, okay, I'm with you.
So I hate his Joker with a passion. Luckily, so many of the DC movies that get announced never happen, so I'm hoping this falls into that category and we never actually have to sit through this. That would be fantastic.
Oh, it's true. And of course, we had the news this week with Diane Nelson, right? Head of DC Entertainment stepping down. So I wonder if that'll impact any of these movies going forward.
Promote Johns.
Have him just because they keep, every time there's a cock up, they give him a slightly higher role, right? They go. All right, come on, you can do a little bit more.
Give him the official power. He keeps getting these roles where he's kind of like an advisor, but he doesn't really have the power to really fix things.
No, and again, it's worth noting he does come from a film background. Like he came up through film school. He did stuff with Dick Donner. Like that's his background, right? Before he was in comics, so it's not like it would be.
The downside is that if he gets this job, he will never be writing comics again until he's done with the job.
Yeah,
that's Doomsday Clock will be the last thing he writes for a long ass time if he takes this job.
If
he's even offered it. This is basically speculation at this point. That's pointing that out.
It is, but given that he's not writing that much anyway, every time they promote him, he does a little bit less work. He's got one book now, and this is his first book in 2 years, right? So, I mean, I don't feel like it would be that much of a difference.
So yeah, hopefully this doesn't happen. Leto's Joker is just straight up garbage.
Again, it's hard to take it seriously though, because I just assume that none of these are happening now, because there's too many of these things that they keep telling me are going to happen.
Speaking of Jeff Johns, he put up an image on his Facebook and his Twitter. He changed his header images to an image that read, in the sort of like stylized logo that said WW84. So people are speculating this stands for Wonder Woman 84, and that is telling us when the movie's going to be set. It may even be the name. It may be called Wonder Woman 84, which wouldn't shock me, honestly.
Not me either.
Obviously, you can joke, what happened to the other 82 movies in between? But no, I think it's a fine idea. We know it's going to be set in the 80s, so 84 kind of makes reference to the specific year that it's going to deal with.
It does. I mean, they're full on just retconning this shit now, because obviously, before it was like, oh, no one's ever heard of it, and they had to really cover that in the first Wonder Woman movie by you know, like have it everyone at the end being like, nope, we don't know who that is, and no witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how they do this, or just forget it, just throw it out the window.
Yeah, just you know what? Justice League already had to pretend that Superman was this loved figure in Batman v Superman. Just retcon this crap too. So yeah, Wonder Woman's...
Batman v Superman exists and just go.
Yes.
So what? Let's go from here.
Yes, just forget that movie exists. That's fine.
I think that's just good advice for everyone, though.
So Wonder Woman 2 is coming out in November 2019. At least that's when it's currently scheduled. We'll see if it keeps that date. And then next up, still with DC stuff, Suicide Squad 2 has got a new pair of writers. David Barr-Katz and Todd Stashwick have been hired to write the script. And they're not the first. This is like a new draft. After a few of them. Worth mentioning, one of them was a writer on... This is what they've told me here about who, what their previous credits are. One of them worked on the 1997 Spawn, and the other one worked on episodes of Gotham. So...
Well, that fills me with confidence.
So, Suicide Squad 2. Look forward to that, whenever it may or may not happen.
Yeah, okay. So, Joe, I'm a huge DC fan. I should be thrilled that they're announcing all these movies, right? And so I'm going just stop it, clean slate, start with a focus.
They haven't earned any faith. They just haven't earned it.
And again, as much as I'm kind of not into a lot of the Marvel movies right now, they've earned trust that if they tell me a movie's happening, I believe them.
There is... Out of 20 plus movies, there's only one that didn't happen.
Right, exactly. So, they tell me, "Oh, we're doing this movie." I go, "Yeah, sure, I believe you. Maybe it won't happen. Maybe something falls through, but odds are they'll go through with it." DC, on the other hand, why should I trust a word they say at this point?
Mm-hmm. So I mean, the big thing for me actually is that after Wonder Woman 2. There's actually nothing that's kind of hard scheduled. Like, everything after that, there's lots of things where we've got a director, we've got a writer, we've got this, we've got that, but nothing's actually... Like, Aquaman and Shazam are definitely happening.
Shazam before Wonder Woman 2.
Yes, they've already shot. Wonder Woman 2 is towards the end of next year, and then there's nothing that's actually set in stone. Now, people are going to say, yes, but, after Infinity War 4, we don't know anything. Well, we kind of do, because we know that at least a couple of the movies that are in the works, but we may not know what movies are what. But if you actually check the schedule, they have dates. Marvel have got...
they've got, no, this is a Marvel movie this weekend.
They've got a Marvel movie date, 3 times a year, up to, 2023 or something like that. They've got them... So they know what they are. We don't know what they are yet, but they've got this mapped out.
We might not know what the movies are. We've made some guesses in the past as to what's going to be when, but I know there's a movie coming on whatever weekend.
But the big thing is, though, is that... We know the reason why we don't know what these movies are is because they don't want to spoil how Avengers 4 ends. That is the thing. They've said, we're not announcing what those movies are until after Avengers 4. They've said that. So even the choice is a creative one. It's, no, because this will spoil where the universe is going after this point, so we're keeping it a secret. And then presumably soon after that, we're going to get a big slate of, here's the next 3 or 4 years of Marvel movies.
Probably Comic-Con next year.
Probably, yeah. Or their own thing, because it's Disney.
They might do a D23,
yeah. So, no, it's, DC be DC. But hey, so let's move on to the general movie news then. First up, just some extra cast have been added to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Tarantino movie, the 1969 sort of Manson murder-related plot. They've added Al Pacino, Damian Lewis, you might know him from the Showtime show Homefront.
Right.
That's the name of that show, right?
I don't know. Sounds familiar, but I'm not entirely sure. I think I know the guy you're on about, though, because I saw him in something a week ago. Yeah,
Luke Perry's been added to the cast, Emile Hirsch has been added to the cast, Dakota Fanning, Clifton Collins Jr., Keith Jefferson, and Nicholas Hammond. They join Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Burt Reynolds, Timothy Olyphant, Michael Madsen, and Tim Roth.
It is quite the cast. I can't argue with that.
Tarantino, people like working with him. He gets a lot of big people.
He does, yeah. I mean, he always has.
Even before he was big, he got lots of big people.
He did.
There you go. Next up, Kick-Ass and Kingsman filmmaker Matthew Vaughn has turned Marv Films into Marv Studios. And under this banner, there's a couple of plans here. I don't know if you saw this.
I did, and I was surprised you didn't actually mention some of this in the TV news.
I don't want to split it up.
Oh, fair enough.
Because it's like a footnote with the rest of it. It's not.
It is a bit of a footnote, yeah. But I thought, you might have wanted that for a headline.
Nah, the TV news bit is like a footnote on the rest of the movie stuff. So under this new banner, the director-producer is planning a reboot of Kick-Ass. And it's hinted that Patience Lee, the African-American single mother who assumes the vigilante mantle in Mark Millar's comics, could be the character primed to take center stage in the movie. So when he says reboot, what they really mean is like, okay, so it'll be like a new character, maybe in the same universe, but not just like a remake of the first movie again. We're not going to recast them and like do a thing.
Yeah.
And they're also discussing the possibility of a standalone Hit Girl film. Whether that's Chloe Grace Moretz, a bit older, doing it or not. Who can say?
The things that I heard them talk about, where it'll either be somewhat older when she's doing her own thing, or it'll be when she's younger still with Big Daddy.
Yeah. So now I hated Kick-Ass 2 with an absolute passion. It was a dire film. Kick-Ass 1 though, I thought was fantastic. The difference between those two is Matthew Vaughn was directing the first one. He had nothing to do more or less with the second one. If he's more involved, then this is a lot more exciting. And if it captures the heart of Kick-Ass, which is one of the things that I feel like you look at Kick-Ass as a concept and you maybe see the trailer for the movie, you think, oh, this is a dumb teenage action superhero movie with a lot of kind of snide humour. I think what you don't get until you watch the movie is how much heart's actually in it. It's a really heartfelt action movie. No,
I think you look at it and you go, oh, you can be really cynical and be like, oh, it's smarter than it thinks it is. It's trying to be a deconstruction, right? When ultimately,
it thinks it's smarter than it thinks that. You say it's smarter than it thinks it is.
No, I thought I said it's trying to be smarter than it thinks it is. I thought I said, but maybe I missed out a word.
Probably, yes.
Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that was my point. Is it's not quite as smart as it thinks it is, and it thinks it's this really good deconstruction of the superhero genre, and that's not what's good about it. Like that stuff. Sure, it's there on a level, but it's not what makes it a good movie. Or a good story.
It's fantastically directed. It's the action scenes are. I mean, Matthew Vaughn's might be my favorite action director. The way he shoots his actions might be my favorite of any director right now working. But it's got a heart. That's the big thing. It's got a heart. And so hopefully, if that carries forward into these potential new movies, I'll be game. I'll be into it. And the other thing is, now here's where things get really crazy. So. The other thing, of course, that this has been involved in, specifically with Mark Millar comic books, is Kingsman, right? So we had Kingsman 1 and 2, Golden Circle being the last one. Now, a third regular film is already in the works, presumably still with Fox, right? That makes sense. However, now this is also planning, this Marv studio, is now planning a spin-off called Kingsman the Great Game, which will explore the organisation in the early 1900s. And the plan is to shoot the two films back to back. So this would be... more like actual Kingsman, I guess.
the early days of the organisation.
Yeah, this would be like them actually in with swords and shit.
I mean, maybe probably some swords, but I mean you had rifles and pistols still at that point.
Okay, very basic rifles and pistols.
Well, yeah, I mean. It's early 1900s. Given that this is a spy organization, I would hazard a guess it's probably around World War One, and that's why they created themselves. If I had to guess.
Sorry. I was disputing that gun thing because I thought it said 19th century.
You said 1900s, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I took that as 19th century, meaning 1800s, but yeah.
Yeah. So I would assume World War One, which again is pretty interesting in itself because you've got swords and horses. And at the same time as all these rifles, it's a real crossover period in history.
I'm only interested if Vaughn's directing. Kingsman as a concept doesn't interest me in and of itself. I like the movies because Matthew Vaughn made good movies. I mean, the second one's a bit rocky in a couple of plot areas, but the action's still really good. So I still had a blast watching it.
That's fair. No, I like the world a lot more than I like the Kick-Ass universe. I think there's a lot. It still needs to be a good director. It still needs to be a good movie. But I'm interested in concept as well because I really liked what it did with expanding the world in the second one.
Well, that's funny because they're also planning a Statesman movie with Channing Tatum, Jeff Bridges, and Halle Berry.
Yeah, I think we all knew that from the second we saw the second movie, though, right?
That's true. But and this is the first time I've seen it actually be said, no, we're actually planning on doing this.
Yeah, I know, it is.
And then on top of that, also an 8-hour Kingsman TV show, apparently. Now, here's where I'm going to get a little bit eye-rolly and say, that's maybe too much.
Maybe.
Like, a third movie, a spin-off movie that's in the past, another spin-off movie that's the American side of things, and an 8-hour TV show. That's maybe just a bit too much Kingsman.
Yeah, I really want to know what the TV show would be. Because, all the others... I can see that, all right, I get you show the early days of the organization. I get you show the American side, right? They're easy story beats to play.
Because that's the thing, the action can't be as good in a TV show. It just can't be.
Probably not.
And that's when, that's one of your main draws of this franchise. I then question, okay, what is the TV show then?
I think it has to lean more into the actual spy drama of it a bit more. I mean, there'll still be some action, don't get me wrong, but I think it has to inherently lean into the spy drama a little bit more, right? Yeah.
Which instantly makes it the least intriguing part of any of this.
It makes it the least Kingsman-y. But I mean, it for sure, it makes it the one that sticks out as, okay, that feels like pretty something different.
Yeah, so we'll see how many of these actually end up happening, but I mean,
I think if I was to put money on it, I would expect the third movie, obviously. They're saying they're shooting the prequel one with that, but I would expect the Statesman movie as well, right?
Yeah. It's a lot. I like Kingsman. I like it because who's involved, and because they're doing all these movies relatively close together, seemingly, they all can't be Matthew Vaughn. So I'm instantly skeptical as to the ones that aren't directed by him.
No, I agree. But I'd expect the Statesman because they've already got a cast, they've already got names as a draw. It's pre-established. I think it's the TV show that's the first to fall through.
Yeah, very possibly. I like Kick-Ass as a concept way more than I like Kingsman. And I like the first Kick-Ass movie more than I do like the Kingsman movies. But it's all down to the filmmaking and the ones that I like. That's why I like Kick-Ass 1 and the two Kingsmans, and I hate Kick-Ass 2. So it's just a case of who's making what of this, because it can't all be Vaughn. If it was all Vaughn, then I'd be down for all of it. But it can't all be Vaughn.
Yeah.
So,
if I had to guess what he's doing specifically, I think he probably comes back for the third Kingsman movie.
But not the spin-offs.
And then not the spin-offs, yeah.
That'd be a fair guess.
I might even hazard a guess that whoever directed the second one does the Statesman spin-off.
What are you talking about? Second what?
Kingsman movie. Was that Vaughn as well?
That was Vaughn as well.
Was that Vaughn as well? Right, yeah. I'm blanking.
I literally said in this conversation I like the second one because it's directed by Vaughn.
I'll be honest. I'm not really with it today. My hay fever's really bad. I'm just kind of a bit loopy.
Yeah, because I thought you meant Kick-Ass. I was like, no, keep that asshole away from anything.
Yeah, no.
No part of it. So some potential big stuff coming from this. I'm down for the Von Made stuff. Anything that's not directed by him from either of these, I'm skeptical. That doesn't mean that there's not other directors who could make a film I'll enjoy. They very well could. But instantly it's okay. Now it's more of a crapshoot than it was before.
They've got to earn it rather than you go in expecting good.
Yes. So here's hoping. But yeah. So I mean, I'm glad that Matthew Vaughn is like involved in like developing things and making more stuff. That said, there is a concern here that he's going to be tied to these two franchises forever now.
I mean, there is.
I do hope that maybe in like 5 years after a couple of these, that maybe he's like, okay, let's do some original stuff.
Yeah, no, because he is a very good filmmaker, and you want to just see some variety from him, right?
Yeah, I mean, if he ends up doing one of these Kick-Ass movies, I'd be like ecstatic at that news. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I would.
Because there's always the argument that he wants to come back to that because he's only done one of those. But then we'll see what he does. So next up, just a quick thing here. Val Kilmer is back with Tom Cruise for Top Gun Maverick, the Top Gun sequel that's coming.
Cool.
It's coming out in July next year. It's currently in production, so the Iceman is back. Short and sweet.
The most exciting thing about this is I heard Kenny Loggins might be doing a new version of Danger Zone for it.
Do we need a new version though?
You have not watched Archer and seen the country version, so the answer to that is yes. We need every version we can get, and that was also Kenny Loggins that did that on Archer.
I love that Kenny Loggins is an artist who's basically made a continuous living off the one-hit wonder that he had in the 80s.
It's a fantastic song, though.
I mean, it wasn't a one-hit wonder. It wasn't successful otherwise, was it?
I think he had a couple of other reasonable singles. Nothing to that level, though.
Nothing that anyone's talking about 30 years later.
Oh no, God no.
So yeah. Next up, MGM has set the voice cast for the Addams Family, their animated film coming up, CG animated. Charlize Theron will play Morticia. Allison Janney will play the arch nemesis Margot Needler. Betty Midler will play Grandmama. Chloe Grace Moretz, speaking of Hit Girl, is going to play Wednesday. I paused for a second there because it just said Wednesday after. I was like, why does it tell me the day of the... Oh, you asked the character's name, it's fine. Weird. And then Finn Wolfhard is playing Pugsley. So we got Stranger Things alumni in there.
Yeah, and you've missed out the biggest one.
More.
Okay.
We got Nick Kroll playing Uncle Fester. And it was already announced, this is not news this week, but Oscar Isaac's playing Gomez.
Right. It wasn't announced for this is we hadn't seen an image before to put the of what the style was going to be, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily look like what you'd expect, given Oscar has already looked the part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Character looks a bit different. I think people are a bit upset that they've squandered his looks on a voice it just looks so different.
Honestly, I'm just upset it's not live action. There should be live action with this cast.
With that cast, it should be. Yeah,
but I like the two movies of Addams Family. Addams Family Values in particular is a pretty great comedy. So hopefully this lives up to that remotely, and that'll be cool. So, that's your next one of your next MGM animated movies.
That due next year, I assume.
It is coming October 2019.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So yeah, it's like an early Halloween thing next year.
That makes sense. The lighter thing for put out around for the kids at that time of year.
No, it does. Speaking of MGM, they're nearing a deal with Reese Witherspoon to come back for Legally Blonde 3.
Yeah, I know. She kind of came out and said, yeah, no, it's happening.
I mean, it's not a done deal yet.
No, but she, as far as she's concerned, she's very publicly happy to say it's happening.
Oh no, she is. No, she's been speaking, but there is literally not actually been confirmation yet. She's saying it's going to happen, but this is no different than someone on a red carpet being asked, "Oh, is a sequel to that thing going to happen?" It's like, "Oh yeah, I think it'll happen." It's at that level.
It is, but she's very confident, and usually when if there's any sort of chance that it won't happen, they'll be a bit cagier, right?
But the point is, I don't care because I just don't give a shit about this franchise at all.
Yeah, me either. So,
in fact, I kind of hate Reese Witherspoon for no good reason. I'll admit, there's no reason why I should hate Reese Witherspoon, but for some reason, her face annoys the shit out of me. I don't know why. It's just a thing.
Everyone has a few people like that, right?
Yeah, for me, it's Reese Witherspoon and Rooney Mara. For some reason, those two people just annoy the shit out of me. And Jared Leto to an extent. And Johnny Depp. Aye, there's a four. 2 guys, 2 girls. There you go. That was my 4 that I hate.
I'd have to think about it. No, I don't. Kevin James.
Oh, there you go. I don't have a problem with Kevin James, but
he's got... Oh, no. Piss off.
But yeah, for whatever reason, there's something about Reese Witherspoon that I've always hated. I don't know why. So naturally, I've never seen Legally Blonde 1 and 2.
No, I've not either, actually.
And I have no interest of seeing Legally Blonde 1 or 2, or a third one, for that matter. Kristen Kiwi Smith and Karen McCullough, who adapted the novel for the first movie, are coming back as well for the script, or they're in talks to come back for the script. So again, everything's in talks. Nothing's been no contracts have been signed, but it's looking likely at this point.
It is, yeah.
Next up, Edge of Tomorrow director Doug Liman also did the first Bourne movie. He's in talks to direct the Warner Brothers reboot of the Cannonball Run, the 1980s action comedy franchise made popular by Burt Reynolds. And my TV is going to turn off. Cannonball Run 1 and 2 feature an all-star ensembles with 80 stars like Reynolds, Farrah Fawcett, Roger Moore, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and Dom DeLuise. They played roles in a reenactment of an illegal cross-country race where the participants were not above playing dirty tricks on one another. So basically, now, I'd heard of this movie, I'd never seen it. I didn't know what it was about. I'm going to be honest. I'd heard of the movie, I didn't know what it was about. Reading that it was basically live-action wacky races...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'm into it. I need to see this now.
Yeah, why have I not watched this?
I'll tell you this right now. When the new one's coming out, in Flux, we're doing 1 and 2 before the new one comes out. Because I like the sound of this.
Me too. It sounds like a blast.
And Doug Lieben doing a new version, and I don't know what they'll do. Like, if they're going to keep it sort of... Because obviously the first one was based on a true illegal... I mean, I assume the story in the movie was complete, made up, but the fact that people actually did this race, I think, was based on a real thing that happened. I wonder, like, if the new one will do anything wackier with it. Like, do they up the stakes so it's more of a serious movie, or is it still an action comedy? Do they put it slightly in the future so we've got really fancy cars? Like...
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Where do we go with it? I'm not saying they have to.
I feel like if you get fancier cars, then you're just doing wacky races, right?
I guess my assumption would be it'd be set present day, so at the very least the cars would be on par with something like, say, Fast and the Furious. You'd have all these souped-up cars.
Sure.
Yeah. It sounds like the racing equivalent to It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, if you ever heard of that.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
That's a great comedy. But yeah, so I'm actually, despite the fact that I've not seen this, I like the premise and I want to watch them premise,
now. And I think he's a good director.
Yeah, he's not like a director that gets me excited, but he's a solid, dependable director.
Yeah, and I usually come out of his films really enjoying them.
Yeah, so yeah, Edge of Tomorrow was good. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and the Firstborn is still my favorite. Personally.
I disagree with that. I like 2 and 3 better than the first one. Not the fourth though. The fourth is a mistake that shouldn't have happened. Actually,
I never even saw that one.
I think I mean the fifth, because the fourth was the Renner one. I meant the fourth Matt Damon one.
Yeah, I never even saw the Renner one because I was like, "Do you know what? I'm done." The 3 was fine.
Had an ending. It was a trilogy. Had this perfect ending for it.
I didn't need any more, so I didn't see the other one. And then obviously they brought him back for 5, and I was just like, "What's the point?"
Yeah, I saw 4. It was just kind of pointless. It was just sort of starting to pick up towards the end, but I felt like most of it didn't have any momentum. And then the 5th one was just like it was like a pale shadow. It was a pale imitation of. It was
a cash grab
of 2 and 3. Same director, same star, but it wasn't there. It's a shame. Next up, Luke Evans has been set to co-star in Murder Mystery, a comedy from Netflix. And this might sound, a murder mystery comedy, that might be fun. It's an Adam Sandler movie, don't get your hopes up.
Okay.
Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston. So, I feel bad that Aniston's slumming it with Adam Sandler, and Luke Evans as well, to a point. So, yeah, it's a Netflix movie. Workaholics Helmer Kyle Nubacek is on board to direct it. And Sandler is going to play a New York cop who finally takes his wife, played by Aniston, on a long-promised European trip. But a chance meeting on a flight with a mysterious man, played by Evans, gets them invited to an intimate family gathering on the super yacht of an elderly billionaire, Malcolm Quince. When Quince is murdered, the couple become the prime suspects in a modern-day whodunit. Honestly, if this wasn't an Adam Sandler movie, I'd be into this as a plot idea.
Yeah, I will say, it says a lot that I tuned out, Adam Sandler, that my brain started doing other things. It just freed up the background space. And Homeland, that's the name of the show, not Homefront. It popped into my head because this was a book, because I was like, oh, it's Adam Sandler, I don't need to pay attention.
Homeland's the name of the show on Showtime. That said, how many people in the comments have already told us that that's the...
Probably most of them.
Yeah, so they'll all tell us before we get to this point. And some of them might go...
We've never seen any of it, right?
Oh yeah, I've never seen any of the show. But some people might be nice enough to go back and respond to their own comment and say, hey, I commented too soon. Some of them won't know.
Oh no,
you know who you are. Anyway, so I think there's potential in there. I'm getting like a clue potential in terms of what it is, but at the same time I feel like it's going to be a dumb Adam Sandler comedy, so probably best to ignore it.
I would assume that until I see otherwise.
Next up, Eddie Murphy is about to return to the screens. Also a Netflix movie, funnily enough. It's called Dolemite Is My Name. And it is based on the life of Rudy Ray Moore, the star of the blaxploitation Dolemite films. So, I think it's an interesting one, first of all. Eddie Murphy's not really been doing a whole lot recently. And for a long time before that, his little dry spell, he was doing nothing but bad films for a long time.
Yeah, what was the last time he was in a good movie?
Bowfinger?
Maybe.
Which was 1998 for the for those playing at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been a good while.
It's the last one I remember enjoying. And it's funny, people like to give shit to Beverly Hills Cop 3. Beverly Hills Cop 3 is a goddamn masterpiece compared to some of the shit that he's been in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying it's good, I'm not arguing that. No one.
Just relatively speaking.
Yeah. I mean, come on, you can't tell me that gun that's got a microwave in it wasn't a fun idea. So Rudy Ray Moore is who this is based on, who's a real person. Moore worked in a Hollywood record store in 1970 when he began hearing of obscene stories of a pimp and hustler named Dolemite. He started a club act where he became Dolemite. He then began generating records that mix humour into a ghetto fantasy character, burnishing the legend. While too racy to be put in display in record stores, the records became big inner-city underground hits. The proceeds allowed Moore to finance a 1975 film called Dolemite, which he starred in as a kung fu-capable pimp ghetto hero who stuck it to the man. I need to see these Dolemite movies, this sounds amazing. Moore followed with 3 sequels, so there's 4 of these total. He continues to be an influence for the likes of hip-hop entrepreneur Snoop Dogg, and entrepreneur, that's a fun, I've never heard Snoop Dogg is referred to as an entrepreneur before. And he had something of a comeback starring alongside hip-hop group Insane Clown Posse in Big Money Hustlers in 2000. That's not a recent comeback, that's 18 years ago now, come on now.
Is he back to just Snoop Dogg now?
Why, what did he move to?
Oh, he's gone through a lot. I think the last one I remember was Snoop Lion, he was for a while.
Yeah, I was not paying attention to any of this.
Yeah, no, he went through quite a few.
No, honestly, this Dolemite thing sounds kind of fun to me. Kung fu capable pimp ghetto hero.
It sounds extremely blaxploitation, right?
It does.
It's exactly what I expect.
It's right out of that era. We got to do Dolemite at some point in Influx, but this is going to be the story of the person behind it. The fact that he kind of like heard of this myth and then sort of turned it into his character, and then did some music, and then that led to doing movies about Dolemite. I mean, maybe this is Murphy's like try having a bit of a comeback.
Yeah, no, maybe
I don't know.
The danger is it just falls into it's a Netflix biopic, right?
Yeah, Craig Brewer's directing a script by Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski. The writing team behind such quirky biographical films as Big Eyes, Ed Wood, and The People vs. Larry Flint. So they've got a bit of...
people like all of those.
Yeah, they've got a bit of cred behind them. I've heard people liking all of those in some capacity.
Yeah. So,
yeah, it's a thing. Maybe Murphy's got a nice little... I feel like this guy's story is interesting and quirky enough that it could be better than your typical biopic.
Yeah, and as much as he's been in a lot of shit, I don't think he's a bad actor.
No, Eddie Murphy's not bad. No. If I get dragged to a Brett Ratner movie, Tower Heist, one of the most lazily named films in the history of filmmaking.
Is it Die Hard?
It's not Die Hard. It's a heist movie. Does it sound?
I know, but I feel like they wanted to do Die Hard.
No, it's your team of characters planning a heist. It's that perspective, but. He was probably the best part of that movie.
Who else was in it?
Oh, you had Ben Stiller. You had a few of the regular sort of comedy actors of the time.
Yeah.
But I feel old of the time. This was like 5 years ago. Oh. Anyway.
Is that all it was?
It was like 2012, 2013 or
I
something.
assume this was like a decade ago.
No. But hey, so that is that. Next up, Orion Pictures is financing a feature about Chicago inmates who escape prison through producing a musical play.
I'm in for this. This sounds insane.
It's called Songs of the Damned. Award-winning music producer Mark Ronson will compose original music for the feature film.
I'm in. I love Ronson. He's so good.
I don't know who it is, but
he's the guy. The Amy Winehouse version of Valerie.
Not really, but
Well, he does a lot of those covers, and some of the Bruno Mars songs, a lot of big stuff. He does, all those.
I like that you think I know what a Bruno Mars song sounds like.
You'll know some of them because they were unavoidable a few years ago. But he's a fantastic arranger for music. So I'm down for this.
People are still shocked that I don't know what a Radiohead song sounds like, but
Yeah, no, that is weird that you don't know Creep.
Like
Everyone knows Creep.
people will play me one and it'll sound kind of dreary, and I'll be like, but I never remember it. They'll play me the same song again like a month later.
It's probably always Creep because that's the only one everyone knows, except you.
Except me. That's fine. I'm okay with that. It's not that I don't like dreary music. There's plenty of dreary music I like.
You'll know that Valerie if I show you that one. I'm pretty confident you'll know that one. That's not dreary at all. It's very upbeat.
Okay. All right. I wasn't claiming that any of this other music was dreary. I was just using that for Radiohead.
It's a bit more memorable than a Radiohead song.
All right. I'm willing to bet that I don't, but I mean, you won't know if I'm lying or not, so there's no point actually betting anything on it.
Next time we take a little break from the recording, you can stick that on and we'll see.
Okay, so next time we take a break, you'll find out if I know what this Valerie Amy Winehouse song sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got more on this movie?
Yeah, Song of the Damned. The story, which is not based on any true incident, but it is set in 1984, follows a group of inmates who stage a musical as a play as a way to escape the prison. That's not really any more information than the first sentence.
We're just repeating yourself.
So basically, they stage a musical play, and that is somehow the cover for them getting out of the prison. I don't know how, but
sounds fun though, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can see there being humour in this. Yeah. I can see it working.
And to allay your fears of musical, they're not just breaking into song, they're putting on a musical.
The music is in the musical they are performing for a crowd, presumably, of the other prisoners, maybe.
I assume.
Do they sell tickets? Come into the prison, the prisoner's going to put on a show.
Yeah. Maybe the guards stand around and have a watch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a weird. I don't think anyone who signed up to be a prison guard thought they'd be seeing the prisoners perform a musical at some point. That's an interesting thing. It's amusing. It's an amusing idea.
Do prisons have little drama clubs?
I think some do.
Maybe that makes sense, I guess.
Next up, Universal has optioned the rights to Tamer El-Nouri and Kevin Morer's book, American Radical Inside the World of an Undercover Muslim FBI Agent. I imagine the movie will be shortened to just American Radical, which sounds good. On its own, that sounds good.
It does, yeah.
That does sound good. Which Mr. Robot creator Sam Esmail will direct and produce.
Okay, I'm in. I don't need to know anything else.
Starring Rami Malek.
Okay, I did need to know something else, but I didn't need to know else, but I wanted to know something else. Apparently,
you jumped in too soon. I had more gold to give you.
I basically don't care whatever you say now about the rest of this movie. I don't think there's anything that you can say in this premise that will make me not want to see
they're looking
this.
for a writer, so Esmail's not writing it, but he still directed it, and Malek's a fantastic actor, so I'm fairly confident that this will be.
Yeah, and. Yeah, he's proved himself as a director on Mr. Robot as well.
He directed like every episode in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, exactly. He knows how to direct with style.
Absolutely. El-Nouri is a long-time undercover agent and active Muslim who joined an elite counter-terrorism unit after 9/11. In his book, he reveals his experience about infiltrating and bringing down a terror cell at stateside, running up against the clock to foil them with worn techniques such as intel listening, recording, and proving terrorist intent. So I can see a very serious, tense, trying not to be caught and trying to stop the event before it happens.
Yeah,
there's potential here. This is the sort of thing. In other hands, I wouldn't be as excited about this, but with those names attached,
you're there day one.
Yeah,
right?
I've got bated breath now. With those names attached, I'm like, yes, I can see. With the tension that we sometimes have in Mr. Robot, I can see how this might play out and how it'll look, how it'll feel. And maybe it'll surprise me and do completely different things, but I trust Esmail to do it.
To pull it off, whatever it is.
Yeah. So, alright, so we had our pause break there, and as promised, I went and listened to the Valerie song from Amy Winehouse. I do vaguely recognise the main sort of I don't even think it's the chorus. I think it's actually the verse I recognise more than the chorus.
Oh, fair enough.
I think it's the brassy swing part that I vaguely recognise. I assume I know it from an ad. I assume it was used in an ad at some point.
Probably, yeah.
But for curious sakes, I also went and listened to that Bruno Mars one that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And I don't
no
recognise
idea.
it at all.
No. I'm shocked. I don't know how you avoided that one. It was everywhere.
Neither the... Do you know what it is? I think it just... To me, that sounds like the sort of thing I don't like, so it just blends in. I don't... Like,
No, it makes sense.
It all sounds the same to me when it's something like that. So I don't distinguish any of it between from each other.
Fair enough.
It's kind of like country music. Country music all sounds the same. I couldn't name you a country song outside of maybe... If you're counting the Dixie Chicks, I like a few Dixie Chicks tracks. Bit of trivia for you. I like some Dixie Chicks.
Not quite where I expected this to go this evening, but here we are.
Hey, I am fussy with music, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I only like one or two types of music. I have a lot of really weird pockets that I like, but I'm really fussy about everything else around them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But hey, yeah, music's a tricky beast. This is why we could never do a music show. I am far too picky, and I just dislike things because I think they sound not to my liking.
No, that's fair. I get it.
Because the Beatles are fine, but they're not,
Oh, not my favourite either.
Don't do anything for me. But
I respect their place in music history, but we evolved on from them. Even though they changed the game. Don't be wrong, but
that's how I feel about most classical. Like, I respect Beethoven and Beethoven and Mozart. I was going to list them, and I just sort of thought, no, I'll combine them.
Condense it. Yeah.
Yeah. And Bach and everyone. I respect what they did, but when it comes to instrumental music, I'd much rather put on some Hans Zimmer or James Newton Howard.
Well, fair enough.
It's more my thing.
I got room for both.
You like what you like. I'm fine. Moving on then. Kathleen Kaufman's dark fantasy novel, The Laid Balor, is being optioned by Echo Lake Entertainment for a film, and Australian director Nicholas Verso, who did Boys in the Trees, has been attached to direct it. The novel from Turner Publishing follows a journey of a boy who desperately tries to escape a nightmare shadow world with strange creatures, fears, and his own personal and very real nightmare, the Laid Bearer. Sorry, the Laid Balor. I said bearer there. I actually googled to find if there was like a pronunciation for this.
How's it spelled?
Laird and Balor. Laird Balor. Laird Baylor, maybe? But the book crosses over genres of folklore, horror, fantasy, and magical realism, and examines the early origins of anxiety and fear for children growing up in a world which they don't conform.
What's magical realism?
That's the point. So I can kind of see what this is going for. From what I'm reading here, I'm getting almost like a... I don't want to say child-friendly. I don't necessarily mean this is a kid's movie, but I'm getting almost a Babadook-esque vibe from this, where you've got all this dark fantasy stuff, but it's all kind of representing the struggles of the kid.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes sense.
That's what I'm getting from this. But I mean, it is a book, so you can go read it and tell me I'm wrong. But just from this description, that's what I'm kind of getting from it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it sounds potentially interesting. Very much a mix of genres, but it does sound interesting.
And this Laird Baylor is the Babadook of it, essentially.
Yeah, stupid made-up word is what you're telling me.
Stupid made-up word, yeah. I think I was saying... I would go with Balor, but I think that's because the name Balor, like someone who's named Balor, is pronounced that way.
Yeah.
But given that it's added to that, it sounds sort of right to say Laird Baylor. But, yeah, so that's the Laird Baylor. So that's in development. Next up, Chelsea Peretti from Brooklyn Nine-Nine has been cast in Spinster. It's coming from Sea Green Pictures. It's directed by Andrea Dorfman. The film centers on Gabby, a woman who, after being unceremoniously dumped on her 39th birthday, faces her fear of becoming a pathetic, lonely spinster. Not a whole lot of plot there, but I do like Peretti, so I can see her becoming this like cynic. Well, she's already cynical. She's Peretti, but I can see her in this role.
I can as well.
Yeah. Also, I think, she must feel awful. She's being cast in roles now where the plot is your 39th birthday. Damn it! I'm old enough for this role now.
Yeah.
That upset me, but hey, there we go. But hey, so that is the regular news. We have some horror movie news though to sort of wrap up the show with. First up in the horror section, Brian De Palma's got a film coming up, a horror film that he mentioned like a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't big enough to really put in the news, but there's a bit more details with it now. And first of all, there's a title. It's a script called Predator, which, I mean,
It's a bold choice.
well, that's the thing. What it's about, it completely fits for the subject, but given that Predator's a very known movie franchise, and there's even a new one coming out this year called The Predator, it does feel like a kind of a weird choice. But so basically, he's doing a film. This is what does it say here? He was in France for whatever. I don't know if it was a festival or whatnot.
If it was a couple of weeks ago, was it Cannes? It was
May have been Cannes, yeah. But he said he was preparing a horror film with a sexual aggressor at its centre. He's elaborated since then that it takes place within the context of a sexual harassment in Hollywood. So it seems very inspired by Weinstein.
It does, but it also does sound like a De Palma film.
It also does actually sound like a De Palma film, which may be a return to form because De Palma's not really made like a big, good, movie
It's been a while, right?
that anyone's talked about in a while. I remember seeing Black Dahlia about 10 years ago and just being, well, it's like probably about 12, 13 years ago now.
Underwhelmed.
Very underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because it's
not even that bad.
There was a time in the 70s and 80s when he was pumping out great thrillers after great thriller. We've reviewed a few of them. It's good stuff. So, I mean, who knows? I guess the only real question here is this: given how soon this is after this particular scandal with Weinstein, and the Me Too as a whole, is this a little bit exploitative coming out so soon?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I feel like he might get a pass on it because it does just sound like one of his movies, right? So he might be able to get away with it. It's like compared to if someone else who doesn't have a history of making movies like that, it might feel like they're just jumping onto it.
I think
he might get called out on it as well. I don't get me wrong.
I think he will, especially since most people now who are on Twitter might not know who he is. I feel like maybe not until once a trailer hits and people know about it. Who obviously we follow news and stuff, but I think once the general population who like to tweet about things sees the trailer, for example, if it happens, I think that's when wait a minute, like you're doing a movie like this because you're saying it's a horror movie.
This is going to be knowing it. It's going to be grimy as shit, right?
Yeah, and as much as his stuff in the past has been very, very thriller, grimy. There's always been an element of like sleaze to it that kind of works for his style. I don't know if he can do that with this. It'll come off feeling a little bit insensitive, I think, if you do it that way.
It will, yeah.
So we'll see.
I'm definitely interested in watching it though.
I'm interested in seeing how it shapes up and what the tone is and what he decides to tackle with it. Will it be very clear that it's based on Weinstein? If it is, actually based on him, or is it just no? It's someone in Hollywood.
Loosely inspired.
Yeah. Again. It solely depends on what the direction is with it, what his focus is. But
yeah, no, it is. But if this is a return to form, this could be a great movie.
And then next up, final news story of the week. Hindsight Media, who backed the King's Speech, which is a while ago now, actually. That was like 2010.
Yeah, it was.
They've acquired a horror pitch, Saci. Saci by a Christmas Prince writer, Nate Atkins. So, based on a well-known character from Brazilian folklore, the Saci, that's S-A-C-I, just in case I'm mispronouncing it, but I think I'm right in thinking Saci.
I would assume that as well, yeah.
Is the spirit of an Afro-Brazilian slave boy who ripped his leg off to free himself from chains. The character is often depicted as one-legged, with holes in the palms of his hands and wearing a magical red cape that enables him to disappear and reappear whenever he wishes. He's spawned books, comics and songs in Brazil, so this is like a part of Brazilian folklore, which honestly is the only part of this I think is interesting. I think if you take that away, this sounds like a very generic, there's a ghosty thing haunting us.
Right, but when there's a history to pull from, there's already a culture full of stories there to inspire this, I'm suddenly more hopeful.
My worry would be that it would turn out to be like what was that movie called with from Laurie from The Walking Dead in it. It was set in India. Other Side of the Door. That was it. Other Side of the Door.
Okay.
And that whole movie was the weird Indian culture has these mystical things. My worry would be that it would be this incentive. We're the normal white folk, but then they have this mystical thing that's scary. Like. There's a lot of horror movies that do that, and my worry that they would come off feeling like one of those generic movies where it's we're in a different country and therefore their culture is weird and scary.
Yeah, no, I think what you do is you just set this in Brazil and have the lead be Brazilian, right?
Will it be that though?
Probably not. But I mean, what I mean is, it says all there's books and comics that have been spawned about this, right? Just essentially just adapt one of those.
I hope it isn't, but if I was to bet money on this will be a white family that moves to Brazil. And then the plot will revolve around them. And they'll go to locals to find out what the hell is this thing that's haunting us, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's the Saci."
What I think would be more interesting if assuming it's still has to be full of white people, is have a Brazilian family move to America, but they bring it with them, and then you can see it terrorize the neighborhood or around them as well.
That's something. Even then, I have I think the most faithful way of doing this is just to set it in Brazil with a Brazilian cast.
I agree, but I'd prefer the Brazilian family bringing it over to just Americans going over there.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's better than that option. I think both of them still have this lingering thing of we have to make it more normal for the audience, and that's the part that's kind of upsetting. But hey,
no, I agree.
So that's the thing. So Saci it's an actual. I never heard of it. This was my first hearing of this, but it sounds kind of interesting. That is the news. That's news. So normally at this point we will talk about any movies we saw this week that weren't for review purposes. We're still quite busy right now, so I almost got one watch. I started one and fell asleep 10 minutes in yesterday, which was kind of the intent because I really wanted to go to sleep. But so I should have one next week when I get back to that. But did you watch anything, Connor?
Not quite. I got halfway through one as well. I got halfway through. It's. I will say, I'm enjoying it so far. It was just I realised that it was 7 a.m. and I should probably go to sleep.
Have I seen this film?
No, although it's one we did a trailer for. So it's a recent movie. So more on that next week.
Is it one
unless we happen to sneak in a review?
Is it one that when you tell me you've watched it, I'll say I'm going to watch that because I want to do it?
Maybe.
Okay, right.
Which is why I won't say what it is now.
So it might end up being a Jigowatts review rather than just us talking about the end of the show next week. Okay, that's fine.
It might.
All right, but that is us then. So as I said earlier on, trailers are still a thing. It's going to be its own separate show, and like I said, there's 17 this week, so look forward to that. It'll probably already be up. I think I'm going to put the trailers up first. I think I've made that choice.
You've decided.
Yes, because I think they're the bigger headlines this week. So more juicy details from the trailers than this was. But not that this wasn't good and worth your time. This was well worth your time.
Yeah, obviously.
For the record. Anyway.
You discovered something about Peter's musical tastes. How was that not worth your time?
People are just going to be asking me in the comments, have you heard this song? I'm going to Google it and be like, yes, no, yes.
If you do that,
no.
Consider it and leave a link for him.
Leave a link, yes. Oh no, don't leave a link because you get flagged as spam and it goes into the spam folder.
Even if it's another YouTube link?
Yeah. Because they see it as other YouTubers try to promote their content.
YouTube gonna YouTube, right?
To be fair, people have done that. Every so often I'll look at the spam folder and they'll be like, hey, I did a video on this too, come check mine out. And I'm like, yeah. Like,
leave that in the spam folder.
No, it's so blatant, that's what you're trying to do. And I get it's hard to promote, because there's very few places you can go to promote where it's welcomed, right? Most people don't want to see you promoting your shit in their face. So that's just normal.
Yeah, we get it. We get the struggle.
Yes. But hey, so... but that has been the movie news this week, so thank you very much for watching or listening. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, the first ever Patreon exclusive monthly bonus thing, 1.21 Extra, in which we will tackle a topic. The first one is going to be aspect ratios. I've been saying this for a while now because we decided we were going to do this halfway through last month, but we couldn't actually start it in May, so that's why I've been promoting this first episode for such a long goddamn time. But that is coming later this month. That'll be after the almost cancelled extra, which is coming first, so you can expect both of those if you're a patron at some point this month. That is at the new $3 tier. Of course, anyone higher than that gets it as well, so included in all the tiers above too. So look at that. But obviously there's bonuses for other stuff. There's voting rights for all the various movie shows we do for reviews for the next month. 121 and Flux's vote this month is all Kurosawa films, so it's all the classic Kurosawa films. The Screams After Midnight vote this month are all hotel or motel set films because it's summer and we thought that thematically lined up with the season. And then Overload is a film that I love versus a film that Matt loves. What those two are specifically, his was Say Anything, mine was Bubba Hotep. It took me a second, I got there in the end, they're not in front of me. And then on top of that, there's also a bonus vote for all patrons at the $1 tier and up. Because we crossed $150, the goal was that we would do an Uwe Boll film, and we'd put up a vote of 4 films for the patrons to vote on. So there's 4 Uwe Boll films for a vote that we will do sometime in July. So you can look forward to that.
Yeah. Also, just in general, movies return to the channel this week with Influx.
Yes, the movie shows are back. Both parts of the top 50 of the 1990s countdown are up on YouTube, as is the My Neighbor Totoro review. For patrons, they got Destroy All Monsters early this week. That's the 9th film in the Godzilla franchise. Streams After Midnight this week got The Strangers Prey at Night. I can tell you that next week you're getting Friday the 13th Part 5. And otherwise, the Overload of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is still coming. Matt was sick; he had strep throat, so we actually both watched the movie, and then he got strep throat, and he was too sick to record. So that's still coming soon. It's just waiting for him to feel better, and we'll have that out. And I think that's everything. We've promoted everything.
I think so. I
Great.
think we're good. There's no new movie reviews that you do with Matt just yet.
Not just yet. No, a couple of weeks yet.
But
that's everything then. And as we said, check out the trailer talk, 1.21 Jigowatts trailer talk, the separate show now for all the trailers, because sometimes it's very long. Go check that out. But that is it. So thank you once again for watching and or listening. We appreciate it loads. Keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.